Just a second. I'm just going to do side-by-side windows.
All right, welcome to GTR, the podcast. You got me, Mark, and you got none other than
Peter.
Peter.
Hey, Mark, how's it going? Welcome to Game to Remember.
Yes.
Ooh, Tuesday night podcast.
Are you as excited as I am?
Very. When you told me about make your top 10 card/deck based game, I was right to it, thinking of all the favorites.
You were pumped.
Yeah.
You got a beverage? You got a cool one? Keep
I'm
hydrated?
I'm at a half glass is half empty or half full. I don't know. How do you see this?
Either way.
I think it's half full.
Half full, yeah, works for me.
But yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do. Lord of the Decks. Now this was your idea. You'd come up with, and I loved it. So this is, what'd you say? One card to rule them all?
One card game to rule them all.
Yeah.
This is Lord of the Decks. This is right now part 1, perhaps, the Fellowship of the Cards.
Part 1, I love it.
There may be more to come. It's a long journey, they say, to get to
from Mordor. That's right.
Yes.
So I was just checking the stream. I think we're good. I think we're live. We're good to go. So this is part 1 of the trilogy, perhaps. And so what we've done, here's the caveat. This is our top 10 games.
Yes.
Where I'm guessing that we've said like it's predominantly card decks is like the game, right? Like the game is probably almost 100% a deck of cards. Not necessarily a plain deck of cards like Ace King, like Jackson's suits, but
yeah, we're not coming up with our 10 favorite games to play with a plain deck of cards. Although you could include maybe a couple in there, but things have evolved in the card game.
Yeah. But what we're saying is you open up a box and you're playing a game and it's pretty much a deck of cards, or whether it's 100 cards or 16 cards, whether it's a micro game or what. This is top 10s that you can just, if you wanted to, you could throw an elastic band around the deck of cards, throw it in your bag, and you've got a good quality game, right?
Yeah, like we're picking 10 games that are card based. Most of the 80 to 100% of the game is based around the cards, I'd say. If I get a game wrong, call me out. If you do, I might call you out. So
you better
watch out.
We got to keep each other accountable.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good games out there with good card playing tactics to it, I must say.
There's nothing wrong with a good card game, man. I've played games that are 16 cards and have just as much strategy and fun as some intense $100 game that's £10. It all just depends on how good it is or how well designed, streamlined it is.
I have some honorable mentions, so it's like some didn't make the cut because it's like, ooh, this one I don't know, because I was like, oh, does it represent card games that well? But I was like, oh, tough calls.
Okay, do you want to do your honorable mentions first before we get into the top 10?
Yeah, I'll.
Here's what we'll do first before we do that. I'm gonna cut over to what we're seeing right now, and you probably can't see, is our Instagram page. At the time of this, we're at 247 followers, Petey.
What?
And we'd love for you to be the next one. Whoever wants to, come on in. We'd love to have you. This is the place where we produce just more off-the-cuff content, and we just throw it up there. Game glimpses, little comedy sketches, fun stuff. This is the place to be. This is the place to be, is on a Game to Remember on Instagram. Give us a follow if you haven't.
It's happening. It's happening. Check us out.
Check us out. So, Petey, give us give us your honorable mentions.
Like some of these, I've just started playing, so maybe eventually they'll make my top 10. I'll mention these ones first. Lost Cities is not in my top 10, but I've been playing that, the card game version at least, on Board Game Arena the past few days, and I'm addicted to it. I want to play it with actual people though, so I couldn't put that into my top 10. Now, if I mention any of these, give me a hint if any of my honorable mentions are in your top 10. So
we might already be
all right.
crossing
Okay.
paths here.
And this one I played at your place. It's that Puerto Rico card game.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, that's a really fun card game where each turn, like every time someone's playing, you're getting an action based on what they're selecting of the cards. Like it's all cards, and that one almost deserves a spot, but I need more play out of it, so we'll see. Yeah, and then this one is a good group game. It's called Apples to Apples, and it's got hundreds of cards. I'm just like, oh, so many decks, and you can play it with so many people. And I was just like, but I didn't have room for it in my 10. So I'd like to give a throw-out mention to that game. And I'd also give a mention to Sushi Go, which I have here. I haven't played it in a while, but I think it deserved an honorable mentions today. So I'd like to just drop that one there. And I have one more honorable mention. I know it was a big list, but for this honorable mention, it's actual playing cards in this game. But the reason why I didn't throw it into my top 10, like it's actually one of my top 3 card games probably. But the reason why I didn't make the cut is because it doesn't use a full deck of cards. It is none other than Euchre. So just because it's minimum cards, I was kind of like, but the game I chose for my number 10 kind of is a bigger version of Euchre with more players, and we'll get into that soon. So that's just my little hint, my little tease. But Euchre, I'm a huge fan of Euchre. Let's play Euchre. Who wants to play? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's like the original. Okay, so how should we start off? Do you want to say your number 10 first, or? Ooh. I'm excited. I don't know what's coming. You don't know what's coming. We're on this journey together, this Lord of the Decks. But is there one game to rule them all?
Okay, so my mic was just muted. You probably heard me, but not on the stream. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's our number 10. I just put up the fancy little animation, and you'll see that. So number 10. Okay, so Petey, give me one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut over to you for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta fix something. Okay.
All right.
So here's what we're gonna do. Number 10. Let's pull this back up. Sorry, technical difficulties. That's the beauty of the live stream, right?
It happens.
It doesn't matter.
But the show must go on.
The show must go on. Okay, so we're here. Me and you are in the bottom, and we got the web page up here. So we're ready to go, and I'm going to reveal my number 10. Okay? I'm just going to reveal it. Any guesses?
Uh,
That's a hard guess.
I.
I'll
It's
just give
so
it to
hard
you.
to pick your 10th, but
Okay,
let's
so
just see it.
number 10
Give it to me.
is Bang.
Oh, nice.
Have you played Bang?
Yes, I have. That is a good choice to put in the top 10.
So there's Bang the
It is
dice
not
game, which obviously isn't the game that I nominated. But this is just Bang the card game. It,
sweet.
it came out in 2002, and it's for 4 to 7 players. So that's an interesting player count because 4. I mean, it's a bit of a party game too, right? And there's
Oh,
like
yeah.
this kind of deduction and hidden roll stuff. So everyone kind of has this card. You have the sheriff, you have the outlaws, and the renegades, and the job. Each like whatever your role is determines what you do in the game. So if you're the sheriff, you got to get rid of like the renegade, or and then the outlaws are always trying to kill the sheriff, and then the renegade's trying to be the last one alive. And so depending on who you are, you have different winning conditions.
And no one knows who each
No,
other are,
no one
right?
knows
Or
who.
is it
Yeah,
revealed?
it's only revealed once you get
Oh,
like shot and killed. And so there's when you sit around the table, there's distances, right? So let's say like whoever's sitting next to me is at a distance of 1, and then whoever's next to there is a distance of 2, and then you have to get a gun that can at least see that far before you can shoot them. And if you're the renegade, you're trying to figure out who's the sheriff or who might be the deputy sheriff, because the deputy's trying to help the sheriff, and you want to try to kill everybody but not reveal yourself. So everybody's it's it's a great party game, and I put it at number 10 for this reason. I'll tell you.
ooh.
Uh, I went through the list and I said, okay, if I wanted to play this today, if you asked me to play it today, how excited would I be to play it, right? And so I went from kind of like, I'd play the other ones before Bang, so that's why it's number 10 on the list. But I would still play it. I've had a lot of great play memories with this game, and there's no way it can't be on the list for a great party game that's just a deck of cards.
Yeah, I'm excited it made the cut because it's not a forgettable game, but I almost, based just because of this like lockdown stuff the past while, we haven't had that many people to play that kind of group game. So it's just like,
Yeah,
it's nice to see a good group game on the list.
party games, group games have definitely kind of taken a
Yeah.
hit and get
And
forgotten about.
especially, yeah, in the back of your memory, we're kind of not thinking of them all the time as much as we used to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my number 10. Bang.
Bang. Well, it's off to an explosive start.
Ooh, good
Ooh.
one.
So I didn't tell you my top
Okay,
10
yeah.
just to let the viewers know, but I'm gonna tell you to put this in the little search there. I put at my number 10 Tournament at Avalon. Bing, bing,
Okay.
bing. I think you might be familiar with this one as well.
Okay, so we're up now. So tournament at Avalon. So there's 2, right?
Yeah, the first one that was made before that is Tournament at Camelot,
Right.
but Tournament at Avalon acts as a standalone as well, or you can play both of them combined. And basically, you get a player and a companion, and your health starts at, I believe, 400, and your cards are taking hits. Your
Yeah,
winning tricks
400 or
kind of,
400 or
yeah,
300 depending on how you want to start the game.
your companion card will help you and aid you at certain moments of your health, or it'll tell you. So basically, you're kind of like winning tricks, just like you don't want to lose the tricks because that'll give you damage at the end of the round. But it's kind of like euchre in that sense of the whole winning tricks and losing tricks. But it's a great game, so I'm like, I have to include this in my top 10. If you haven't played it, get it now. Get it now. It is really good. I've only done it 3 players, but it would be great to try 4 players as well.
Yeah, because of all those player uh, powers, right? And so like there's kind of this whole feeling of you got control with the tricks, but then someone's got this crazy power that just messes everything up, and there's a bit of like you don't even know what's going on half the time because of oh, I can do this, but you can't
Yeah,
do this. That
and
makes it so fun.
And if you're losing, there's hope because you get godsend cards at the end
Yeah.
of the round, and it might turn things around for you and help you survive longer and maybe even win. So you're the winner once someone dies, whoever has the most health, once the first person dies, I believe.
I believe you're
and,
right.
yeah, so it's just the whole unpredictable, the twists and turns, replayability. Like I already want to play it right now, but it's
Just
it's
talking
on
about
my
it.
top 10. I know, just talking about it. Let's play. So what year did this one come out? It's fairly new, is it?
Tournament at Avalon came
Or
out 2020.
oh wow, yeah. So yeah, I only learned it the past couple months, so it's definitely one to look out for.
And then Tournament at Camelot came out in 2017.
Hmm.
So
So who knows? Maybe there will be another one in a couple of years.
yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's your number 10, Tournament at Avalon.
Yeah.
All right. So
are we ready for number 9?
yeah, I think we're ready for number 9. Let's see. Okay, so here's the number 9 spot. So let's take a little look over here. And we've got, okay, so here, Tournament Camelot's up here, next one. So we're going to go for my number 9. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like we're going to have a crossover here. And yours is going
I'm
to be,
excited if we do.
it's going to be higher, I think. But we'll see. Okay, my number 9 is Dominion.
Ooh, top 10 as well.
Okay, I figured it would be. Now, I love Dominion. And I was thinking about this earlier when I put it on the list. I looked, and it came out in 2008. And
Yeah.
I probably started playing it around 2011, 2012, I would think. That's kind of when I got into board gaming, and so this was one of my first gateway games into the hobby, and I absolutely love it, thoroughly enjoy it, and I would consider it to be like the best deck building game, and it's also like the grandfather of deck building games. Like that brought deck building games onto the map, right? Like deck building games,
It did.
Dominion.
It's pretty much the originator of deck building games.
Originator,
So
you're right.
people saw that people loved it, and I'm sure it's inspired so many first of
Yeah.
popularity.
And so if you don't know Dominion, essentially you start with a deck of cards, which consists of like money and some victory points, right? And so you kind of flip over 5 cards, and then you get hopefully some money, and then there's cards laid on the table, and you can buy one of those cards, you put it in your hand, which goes to the side. Then you take your next 5 cards, see what's in there, buy another card. So that's your first 2 turns. You've gone through your 10 cards, and then you shuffle your deck together, and those new 2 cards are in your hand. You're going to shuffle those out and hopefully get that other card, which gives you more money or powers to do different combos. And you just keep going through the deck of cards. And the other thing is, if you love it, there are almost endless expansions, right? There are almost endless.
They've been like cranking out an expansion year after year after year. So if you're a huge fan, there's lots to collect and lots to play because the combinations are endless, and the expansions are really fun. Like I'd recommend the Seaside one, Prosperity. Those are some of the earlier ones. Hinterlands. There's a lot of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and I would say like not only is there just there's so many expansions, and there's like not hundreds of cards, there's thousands of cards, and you can have all these crazy expansions and whatnot. So yeah, that's number 9 for me is Dominion. I would play it almost anytime. I'm almost always in the mood to play it, give or take. Again, it's one of those quintessential ones, those gateway ones, one of my firsts. And it's just iconic. So that's number 9, Dominion.
Yeah, like it's got good nostalgia for you, especially considering that it got you more into games.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so my number 9. Are you ready, Mark?
We're ready, man. Lay it on me.
Okay. It starts with 7, ends with Wonders. 7 Wonders.
I wonder what it could be. 7 Wonders. Okay.
I'll include the dual version in that because it's play with 2 people. That one's a bit more card based, but even the game 7 Wonders, you're drafting cards, getting the next hand, drafting another card. If you can't pay for it with the resources, you can discard it and get money. And you also look at what everyone else is revealing at the same time. So you don't want to give the next player science if they're collecting that, or pass on military cards. It's got little strategic elements, but I love it because every player is involved in every turn. So it's very engaging. You're not waiting for your turn. It's your turn every turn. And it's all about choosing cards and making good game decisions.
Yeah, and there's like in Seven Wonders, like you got a bit of a board.
I
And
know it's
tell you
not
the thing,
completely,
but it's driven 100% by the cards. Like the cards are the resources, the cards are the victory points, the cards are the money, the cards are everything. So yeah, 100%. Seven Wonders is definitely a deck of cards. There's a little bit of embellishment,
awesome.
but I'll give it to you for sure.
Yeah,
I'll give it.
thanks. I was like, it's not purely cards. Like there's little money tokens, but yeah, I thought the whole dynamic of choosing cards each turn was very crucial. So
for sure.
But yeah, throw that up there on Board Game Geek because it started to create quite a legacy. It's been out for around 10 years or so. So it's kind of it came out around that Dominion era as well, sort of time period as our number 9.
Okay, so tell me this.
10 years.
Tell me this. What's your favorite like mechanism or part about Seven Wonders? Because I'll tell you the thing I don't like and why it didn't make my list. But you tell me your favorite part.
Well, my favorite part is just like the replayability, like your cards, your strategy can always change each game you play. You might be like, well, this game I want to be very military focused and get the points that way. But if the hands aren't going to be working out that way, you might realize you have to make like on the spot decisions and be like, well, maybe I should start collecting science based on the resources I've started to collect and what I'm getting from other players. So it's just, the whole making those game decisions is the whole thing for me, I think, maybe.
So one thing I didn't like or didn't like about the game Wonders Duel. I'm not the biggest fan of card drafting for a couple of reasons. Well, one main reason is not really the way that my brain works. So like when I take a card or I take a hand of card to you, I'm not going to remember what are in those cards and that I need to get the next time they come back around to me, hopefully, or I'm not paying attention so much to what you're doing to try and stop you. So I often tend to stumble in those card drafting games because my brain isn't wired that way for the card drafting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let me just counter that for one small bit is that I think Seven Wonders, like next time you play, like really the cards that you're passing for the next time you have to pick from that hand, you kind of have to make an in-the-moment decision, but you just have to keep in mind what you're passing perhaps to the next player. Not all window aware of that. You don't have to you never know what the next players are going to pick, so it's not a guarantee. So you can't really think about that too much.
Yeah, and I agree for sure. It's just that's always with card drafting, always this little bit of a hesitation with me where I'm like, do I love it? But with Seven Wonders Duel, you're taking those cards from the center of the table.
That's true.
I love that it's a pyramid where half of it's revealed, the other half's not. And, do I take this card? Because if I take that one, that flips over the cards underneath, and that gives you an opportunity to take it. Or do I take this one because it doesn't flip any cards over and give any new options? That, to me, becomes my favorite part about Seven Wonders Duel. And that's kind of my caveat between the two is why I would pick Seven Wonders Duel over Seven Wonders because of that.
Yeah.
But I'll give it to you.
Yeah, there's this newer expansion for Seven Wonders that totally elevates the game for me. I forget the name of it, but I played it at my brother's. It's with this ship that moves each time, and it gives you this option. I'll explain it sometime to you, or I'll send you the link. But it's definitely the expansions have been really good for Seven Wonders. So kind of gives you some more things to do that Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, there's so many expansions. Like you can't knock that for sure. There's a lot of content there if you love the game.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. All
Okay,
right.
so
So
that's your number. What was that number?
that was number 9. So
Number
we still have
9.
8 more to go.
We're in for a
This
party,
train has
bud.
just started rolling. Yeah, we're party up. I got my candies.
Oh, my little LaCroix is almost out. Okay,
Oh,
so
might have to do a refill. Okay.
I'll have to do a refill here or something. Okay, so we got our number 8. Number 8 on the list is for me. This would be okay. I put this up on our Instagram story, or you put it up, or
Yeah.
no. This is an old game, and this would be like a game you might consider like not a gamer's game, but I love it, and we play it with our
Better have cards.
Oh, it's got cards.
Oh.
It's not a gamer's game.
Oh, wait, does it start with an S?
Yeah,
Does it the second letter E?
yeah,
Third letter Q?
yeah.
Oh, wait. Let me guess.
What else could it be?
Sequence.
Sequence.
We need like a buzzer. Boop, boop, boop,
Oh
boop.
yeah, where's that? I got to get that
I
soundboard
sent you a
hooked up.
soundboard. Okay, yeah, hook up the soundboard. But yeah, this one is actually in my top 10 as well. A little overlap. Another buzz.
Okay. So
Okay.
sequence is just a deck of cards, and it's got two
Two
decks
deck
of
of
cards. It's
cards.
actually 4 decks of cards. You got 2 decks of
No.
cards that you play
Oh
with,
yeah.
and then there's the 2 decks of cards on the board, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Good point.
it's 4 decks of cards. You can make sequence out of 4 decks of cards. So all you do is on your turn, you have 5 cards in your hand. You play a card, and then you put a chip on the board as to wherever that card is, and then you're either trying to make a line of 5 or 2 lines of 5, depending on if there's like 2 or 3 or 4. How many? You can play up to teams. You can play 3 people or 3 teams, and so you can have a ton of people. 2 to 12 players, actually, it says right
Oh,
here.
how do you do 12? Wow.
So
I
3,
always thought it
6,
was
9, 12,
maximum of 6, but
4, 8, 12. So I guess you could have 3 teams of 4 if you're like if you have 4
maybe you're
people.
just alternating around the table
Yeah, I
for
think you're
your color
just
because there's 3 colors.
yeah, you're just alternating, and I think you would just get 1 line of 5 because it would be pretty hard. You'd be getting blocked all over the place. But that's a great party game, and the fact that it goes 2 to 12 and the player like for it to increase like that and still play just as good at 2 or 12, like that's pretty rare, right?
Oh yeah.
For a game to do that, and it's just fun. And there's not a lot of strategy because you're just picking up cards, and you can only play one of 5 things, whatever's in your hand, and you just got to play there. But when you get that line, oh, the cool thing is like there's jacks, and the 2-eyed jacks are wild, and then the 1-eyed jacks are like you can
Takes
remove a card.
away.
Yeah, so when you get to just like someone's got a line of 4, and you just get to play a 1-eyed jack and take that off. That's the best part
You
of the game.
crush their dreams, and they're just like, "No, why me?" You're like,
And they were
"Well,
like, yeah.
I had to do it."
And they were like, "Oh, I was going to win next time. I had the card." And you're like, sequence. So that's why I love sequence. That's why I love sequence. It's fun, and the strategy is in the luck, which
Yeah, the luck of the cards, and it's cool that it uses like normal playing cards that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's number 8. Sequence.
Awesome. It's been around for a while, right? Yeah.
1982.
Wow. Anyone born in 1982?
I was not quite born yet.
My oldest brother was born that year, but yeah, this game has been in my family for a long time. Not that early, but maybe the 90s, maybe late 90s. They got popular again. Maybe I don't remember it being popular when I was like young. But yeah.
So there is on Amazon, and I have to figure out how to buy this, but there is a jumbo version of Sequence.
I saw that once.
But the player mat is a big mouse pad, right?
Whoa, wow.
It's not just a big cardboard board. It's a giant neoprene mat for Sequence. It's got to be like $70 Canadian. so it's hard to kind of sneak it in there. But that would be so cool to have like a deluxe version of Sequence. I have to
You
have it.
just roll it out on the table. That'd be beautiful.
Just roll it out, yeah. So that's my number 8,
Okay,
Sequence.
so my number 8, it's coming in.
Okay,
It's
hey, wait. I'm in the search bar here. Give it to me.
okay. Like this game is it might seem a little nerdy. It has some aliens. You're in space. This is Cosmic
I
Encounters.
already started typing it.
Oh, okay. Uh, the game is clearly deck based, card based. You get cards.
Mm-hmm.
First, you pick an alien species from alien species cards, which the game comes with like 50 or to 100 of them, plus expansions adding more alien cards. And then you're drawing a card to see who you're attacking. And in the game, you want to get onto 5 planets that are not your own. And that's how you win the game. And you use attack cards. You have cosmic zap cards and different sort of artifact cards, and basically you kind of just read what it says and you attack someone and reveal your card, and if it's higher or if an alien somehow other powers mix in, there's some twists and turns. But I just like there's the alliance phase, so the players are always involved around the table. You don't have to wait for your turn too much because you might be asked to be in someone's alliance to defend or attack. So it's got great engagement, and it's always fun to be a different species and get those different powers every time you play. So that's one I'm putting in at number 8 because I have to have this in my top 10. It's one of my go-tos, and I love playing it anytime I get a chance to.
Now, you taught me this game this year, and I got to say, I enjoyed it. But what I didn't realize about the game was it's kind of a party game disguised as like a nerdy type game, but it's like about being crazy and kind of like what we mentioned with Tournament at Avalon. It's like you got these weird powers and you can be like, I'm gonna beat this guy, I'm gonna do this alliance, but you can just like mess it all up and throw this card in, and you just got to be willing to be crazy with it, and
Yeah.
it's fun. Now, the version I threw up here, Cosmic Encounter, which Fantasy Flight redid in 2008, which I believe is the version you have, or it's the box that looks.
I think was there a version before it? I
Yeah, now it
think the
came
only
out.
one I knew of.
Now it came out in the 70s, 1977
Really?
is when it was originally released.
So it's like one
By
of those movies that they reboot.
Yeah, now I know that for a fact that this had been rebooted by a number of publishers, but it was originally designed and released in the late 70s. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
and if you knowing that, you can kind of see how it's like you can tell it's a bit of an older game in the way that it plays, but the fact that it's still around today kind of is a
Yeah.
testament to how ahead of its time it was as to how good of a game it really is. If you know how to, or no, not if you know how to play it, if you know how to approach it. That was kind of my initial problem, was I didn't know how to approach it, and not to take it so seriously. And when I learned that, I was like, oh yeah, this is a great game.
Yeah.
You can negotiate and just make stuff up and say whatever you want, do whatever you want. It's fun, but you got to know that going in there. So yeah, it's a great game, and it's just a deck of cards, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got these little ships and stuff, but I'll yeah, that's bordering on time in the sense of it's
I
just a deck of
know,
cards.
but I was just like, your turns have so much cards involved,
So
so I
much
was just
cards.
like even there's no dice, so it's all cards. So I was
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
true.
it's kind of Seven Wonders level with the
Yeah.
cards. So I'm just like you just have the ships as the only non-card aspect, really,
I mean,
and your little. I know,
I'm not gonna
but
withhold anything from
it's
you.
good to call it out if you see it. But yeah, like I don't know. It's I'd still consider it a card based game, like with the decks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's number 8. So
Number 8.
check it out if you haven't. But definitely one of my recommendations.
All right, number 7.
We're at 7. Wow,
We're at 7 already. The time's flying by.
top 7. We're heading into top 7 territory.
We got lots of more content to get through here. So
Oh yeah,
my number 7 is a relatively new game released in 2019. It is just a simple deck of cards, nothing else, and you utilize both sides of the cards. One side tells you how you score points. The other side is what you use to score those points with. And that is a simple game called Point Salad.
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
Point Salad is just a little set collection game. And it's ages 8 and up, and you might think that's a kid game, but it's an amazing game. Every time I play Point Salad, I either want to play it again, or I'm always surprised at how good it is. That's all it is. One side is just vegetables, either onions or cabbage or tomatoes or lettuce or carrots or whatever, and then the other side is just various ways to score points. Example, have the most carrots is 10 points. So if you take that scorecard and you put it in front of you, if then you continue to collect the most carrots by the end of the game, you get those 10 points. You might also have something that says like 2 points for carrot, 2 points for cabbage, minus 2 points for a pepper. So you got to be like, well, I'm not going to collect peppers because that's going to give me 2 points, and then my carrots are worth like 2 points each plus that. And there's just like this thing about how to get the most points, and it's just literally a point salad game called Point Salad, and the theme is salad, and it's meta and it's genius, and I would love it, and I would play it with anyone, a newbie or an advanced experienced gamer, because it gives you the opportunity to puzzle that out at any stage of a gamer that you are.
Yeah, it's a very fun one to play with anyone of all ages or player ability because of its simplicity and it's just plain old fun.
Yeah.
And guess what? This game made my top 7 too.
Oh man, we have
So
we have the same list.
we have 3 overlaps. Where's that buzzer? But yeah, like I'm excited.
And I guess
So now
the anticipation is knowing where in the list it is,
I
because I
know. So
ranked it
some of
number
your
7.
yeah,
Where did you rank it?
we'll
Okay,
find out.
oh, maybe what's your number 7? I got the search bar ready here. I'm curious.
Okay, well, my 7. I don't even know if this is going to be in the search bar. It's a game you just need a deck of cards with,
Okay.
and you take out the Joker. You may want to play with 2 decks if you have more than 3 or 4 players.
Okay. Okay.
And this is coming in at number 7 on my list.
Inception.
This game is none other than Sevens.
Sevens.
At number
Sevens
7.
is a great game that you just taught me. So lay it on me.
Yes. Well, Sevens I learned over the holidays as well. Basically, you play with a normal playing card deck. You take out the jokers, deal out all the cards to everyone playing, and then whoever has the 7 of the hearts starts the game. And then from then on, only 7s can be played or subsequent descending, ascending heart cards. And when the heart cards are played, that means the rest of the suits can be played in that number. So, like, you can't play 8 of clubs until the 8 of hearts has been played. So it's a very interesting game with some strategy. If you have the keys of unlocking the next moves of the game, you might want to hold on to them so that other players may have to get cards, because when you can't play, you have to ask the other players for a card. And it's just a fun game. You can just easily play a round of it and then play more rounds, and whoever gets their score over, usually you set amount at like 400. Whoever's score goes over 400 first is the loser, and whoever has the lowest is the winner. So it's a fun one. Maybe you can try playing it just based on what I've said, but it's very simple and fun to play with anyone from as young as 7 to 75 or older or younger. Who knows? It's very easy.
What about 77?
I said or older.
Or older. Okay. My favorite mechanism about sevens is when you can control the board, right? When you have control, and when you play with, when you play with 3 people, for example, it's really common that when it's somebody's turn that they need a card. because you have the keys, and you can
Yeah,
just
you
kind of
just see someone's like smirk go.
yeah, and you go, you need a card, and they go, let me see, and you're like, no, you need a card because you hold the keys, and here's the thing though, that's not a guarantee for a win. You can mess something
Nope.
up, or you can not have the right key, and you can go from having all the power and almost getting out to, if you don't have the right card at the end of the game, you could end up with 100 points, 200 points, and losing the whole thing because you didn't play your cards right, or you just didn't get the right cards. Yeah, that's my favorite part
Luck
about it.
of the draw.
Luck of the
Luck
draw.
of
It's
the draw.
having the keys to unlock is the best part of that game. And like point salad, I would play that with anybody because it's just great. And you just need a deck of cards.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. Throw it in your backpack, and you can just play sevens anywhere. You just need a bit of table space because you basically lay all the
All
cards out.
right, Mark. Speaking of point salad, do you want to flip things around and let me do my number 6 right now?
Okay.
Throw up the little 6 thing.
Okay, we're gonna do the number 6 thing here. Just
So
stand by. Okay, so number 6 is
so
none
we're just
other.
flipping the order really quick here, and at 6, since we're on the topic of point salad, at my number 6 is point salad.
Oh,
I
I
know we almost had it at the exact same number.
almost to the
How
exact same
crazy would
point.
have
Mine
that
was
been?
mine was 7, right? I was just on point salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yours
Okay.
was just at 7. So mine for 6 point salad, I ranked it at number 6. I had to put sevens at 7 because it's the same name,
It's logical. Yeah.
and it's a very toss up. Like point salad is a great game. I haven't played it that many times, but it made a great impression on me that I know it's my favorite, and I had to include it. And it's card based, and the points and the scoring ability for the game is so fun to play. And yeah, for now it's in my top 10. Like it's a newer game, but
Yeah.
I see it staying in my top 10 and even my top 7. So yeah,
Let me.
we've already talked about it. So yeah, 6 is where it's at for me.
And I just thought of one more thing about point salad that I didn't mention, which is my favorite part of the game. You can, when you take these point cards, right? Like for example, score 2 points per carrot. Well, like I mentioned, on
Yeah.
the back of that card is a vegetable. And at any
Oh
point, if
yeah.
you need to, you can take your scorecard and flip it over to a vegetable that it might benefit another thing more. You can't ever flip back, but you can always flip a scorecard over to a vegetable, which gives you more points. And like that is so simple and genius, and that's probably my favorite mechanism in the game, that you can be like, oh, there's a carrot on the back of this, and if I use that, I'll get points. Or if you take a card that's
Yeah.
going to be negative because of a points thing, flip it over to a vegetable and put it somewhere else, and you're great. It's a deck of cards, and it's genius. So it deserves to be not only just on the top 10 list of this, but in pretty high up in terms of top games.
Yeah, like it was in our top 10 of 2020. So it's making a lot of top 10 rounds lately. So I'm glad it's here that we're talking about it.
Absolutely. Okay, so that was your number 6.
Yeah,
7.
what do you
No,
got
not
for
7. No, 7.
6?
Points
No,
out.
we're at 6.
Okay, we're at 6. All right, my number 6 is. Oh, let me see if I can think about 2, 4, 5. Mine has to do with numbers as well.
Ooh.
Ooh, what could it be?
Hmm.
How about I reveal it? It is 5211.
Oh, yeah.
We played this, right?
Yes.
So 5211 is a little card game that I just got this year, and I have the like Azul version, which is just 5211, but with like an Azul picture on it. It has nothing to do with the game Azul. It just looks like the tiles from Azul. Anyways, 5211, you have 5 cards, and then you play 2 cards, and then you play 1 card, and then if you can guess, you play 1 card. And it's so fascinating to play because you either score based on the now I don't know what it is in the real game. I think it's something different, but in the Azul version you have chickens. So the cards have numbers or chickens on them, and if there's like an X number of chickens, depending on the number of players, then you score the chickens for the round. If there's X number of value of cards out or some total of cards out, then you score those. And there's this whole mechanism of like reading the table in terms of I really want to score dark blue because I'll get a lot of points. And my favorite mechanism or my favorite part is if you get greedy with scoring dark blue, for
Ooh.
example, and you play your next dark blue, that could put you over the tipping point or the threshold for how many dark blue cards can be out there. And then you score the next highest amount of cards out there, which might be like light blue or might be green, which you don't have any of. So you got greedy to try to score
Yeah.
a little more points. So do you like sit back and do you see like, oh, that person's going for orange, so I'm going to play an orange so that orange goes over that I scored there? There is some great decisions to be made in 5211 if you let yourself do it, and that's why 5211 is my number 6.
I love it. I love it. I've only played it one time. I really want to play it again. So I'm glad you bring it up.
And it's quick. And it's easy.
Yeah. I was a little intimidated because you guys beat me and I couldn't get my comeback going. But next time I play, I'm gonna get my beginner's look back. So
next time
we'll see. Well, before we go into our top 5, should we take a quick 90-second break to refill some water?
Yeah, let's take a little break, refill, and because we're almost halfway through.
Now, don't go away quite yet. So we'll be right back. Right with our top 5, we are halfway there. Mark already mentioned 2 of my top 5, but the rest we'll find out where they place, and I'm excited.
Okay, stay tuned.
All right, see you soon.
All right, we're back, refreshed,
We're
rehydrated,
back.
ready to go. Ready to go.
We're
Um,
here.
where
Top
do we
five.
where do we leave off?
Well, you had just told me your number six was 5221?
5211.
5211. I'm already getting it wrong. Okay. But great choice, great choice. You have the Azul edition, but has nothing to do with Azul. So now we're diving right into our top five games with cards.
Number
Decks, Lord of the Decks.
Lord of the Decks.
Okay.
One card to rule them all.
Okay, so my five is actually one that made your lower bottom half of the top 10. It is
Okay.
one that requires cards, well, two decks of playing cards, and where the jacks are a little mysterious with the one eye or the two eye. One eye, two eye. Okay, it's none other than Sequence coming in at number
Sequence.
five. So, yeah, it's just a game that has that nostalgia. Like I learned it when I was maybe like 10 or 11. Became a household game.
Right.
Easy to play with your parents, your aunts and uncles, your cousins, and even friends that come over that don't know anything about games. So it's been on the table quite a bit. It's been worn out, and it's still in the game cupboard and on the game table any day of the week. So it has to be in my top five for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a classic for a reason, and it's a great one.
Okay, so cool fact is I almost couldn't put it in my top 10. I almost was convicted to say it didn't have enough card component because I was like, I don't know, there's those poker chips that mark where you're placing your sequence of five in a row, and I was just like,
Right.
is this component knocking down the card level like below 80%? I was just like, can I still put this in my top 10? And I was just like, I'm going for it. It involves two deck of cards. It's definitely a card game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
But I was hesitant.
you put Cosmic Encounter in, and that's got little spaceships, so which is basically looks the same as the sequence ship. So you're good.
I know that's why those ones were down at like 8 and 7, 8 and 9. But
Push them down a little bit.
I know I was just like, they can't be higher up because of their card level. But yeah, that was my number five. So Mark, what do you have starting off the top five for you?
Okay, well, I like to kind of give some hints here and see. I kind of like drawing this out a little bit.
The
Um,
suspense.
so this is a game about being a farmer, and you have to plant something, and then you can reap those benefits exponentially if you have enough patience and enough luck to plant the right amount of things. And that game is none other than Bonanza.
Oh!
Did you forget about Bonanza, or is this in your top five? Oh,
I didn't
don't give
even
it away. Don't give it
consider
away.
it. It's not in my top, so props off. Like I love this game, but
Yeah, Bonanza
props.
Bonanza is a wonderful game. It's by Uwe Rosenberg, which he makes
Play
games.
this game.
Play this game. Play this game. No, play this. It's up above you. It's above you
This
right now.
game, yeah.
Yeah, play this game. So this is by Uwe Rosenberg, and if you don't know Uwe Rosenberg or you're not in the board game thing, he makes big games like Caverna, Agricola, Feast of Odin, Feast for Odin, Feast of Odin. I can never remember which one it is. He makes big games, and he also made New York Zoo, which we just played a little while ago.
Oh,
So he makes some incredible games, and he makes big games, and he makes little games. And this little game is a deck of cards, and it's one of those ones again where the front of the cards is how you get points, and then the back of the cards are your points. It's the coins that you are
yeah,
getting.
exactly.
And it's great because you basically on your turn you have to play the first card in your hand, right? So you're forced to play it. And then you can play the second card if you wanted to, which you play down in your bean field, and then let's say it's a coffee bean, you plant the coffee bean. If you get 4 coffee beans, for example, you get 1 coin. If you get 8 coffee beans, you get 2, 12, blah blah blah, and then it goes up to 4 coins. you can flip those over at any point, get those coins, start a new bean field. The caveat to the game, or the kind of strategy, is maximizing the coin return on the fields, just like farming in real life. But oftentimes you're forced to flip over that bean field and you can't get any coins for it. And in typical Eurogame fashion, if you are not sufficient or efficient at that, you'll lose the game, because you got to make sure you're getting all of the coins out of those bean fields as you can. That's why Bonanza, and I'll give it this caveat. If you were to ask me for a top 10, top 20 list of games of all time, I would put Bonanza in it, hands down.
We need to play it.
Yeah.
Next time we can be together, let's play, because I love playing this game with my cousins and family. And I love the mechanism too of turning, when you get your harvest, turning it into the coins, you just flip it over. And I think I don't know if you had this thing when you first learned it. That the only hardest part to learn is keeping your hands in order.
Right. You can't.
It's like rookie mistake. You're like, no, don't move your cards around.
Yeah. You want to like line up all the beans together, but you can't move them. Whatever you pick them up as, your new cards go in the back of your hand and they stay there, and you got to work from the front, back, or however you hold your cards. Just whatever way you do it, you got to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And that's cool. There's not a lot of, like, or at least I haven't played a lot of games that are like that, where you're forced to play the cards as you kind of pick them up. So for a deck of cards, man, it's a great game.
Yeah, it's great because even like all ages really can play it. Like, it's not too hard to learn.
Yeah, even Charlie plays it, and she's 6, and she beats me half the time. So
Char's a pro.
she's a pro gamer, man. So that's number 5.
Yeah.
It's Bonanza. You got to play it.
Okay.
There's some expansions for it, and there's like I have a dice game of it, which is great, but I can't put that in because it's dice. There's some expansions, some 2-player, and they're okay. But Bonanza, the original from 1997, is the one.
Wow, 97?
97.
I remember playing in the 2000s, but I must have taken some time for it to get gaming traction, or maybe just weren't too involved with gaming games back then.
Yeah, and I mean, this is from a German designer, and it's a German company, and like in Canada or in North America, like it wasn't until like Settlers and that stuff started to get big, and then
so the success of Settlers kind of brought those games over, maybe.
And then Agricola, which was kind of like the one after Settlers, which is his game, and so then that kind of made room for a lot of his games, and then the gaming hobby evolved into what it is now. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, crazy. But yeah, that's number 5, Bonanza. Okay, number 4.
Oh. Number 4. We're getting close to the top.
Okay, so we've switched. So you go.
Yeah. So number 4, you throw up that title there.
Oh, I got it.
Ready for 4?
Ready to go.
Okay. So number 4. I don't know if this was allowed, but I kind of I had so many to choose from. I put a tie at number 4.
A tie.
So So I put a tie because I'm just like, these are like the finalists that did not make the top 3 cutoff.
Okay, sure, I'll give it to
you. And
you.
I also put a tie because if you don't consider my number 3 card based enough, one of my number 4s will take that spot, I guess.
Sure.
So that was my other reasoning. So number 4, how should I do this? I'll say the names of the 2 games and then we'll go from there. So
okay.
The tie is coming in at number 4 is Jungle Speed and Monopoly Deal.
2 excellent games. What's the problem?
So, I just had so many to pick from.
Oh, so many.
I
thought.
And I was just like, my dilemma was that my top 3, I couldn't fit any more into my top 5, and I was just like, I have to have these in there. So
Monopoly Deal. Monopoly Deal is a game that we played a ton years ago, and my in-laws still play it all the time. They love it, and it's an excellent game. In fact, I think I remember we played it at lunch break at work a lot me and some of the guys,
Yeah,
because it's just very okay. Caveat: very few games get translated from a board game into a card game well,
exactly.
right? And again, I don't want to hate a Monopoly because I'm not that kind of snobby board gamer. Listen, if you wanted to play Monopoly, I'd play it with you. I'm not that kind of board gamer. Bring it on. But it is an excellent adaptation from a board game to a card game, hands down. Put Monopoly aside, it's a good card game.
Yeah, once you play Monopoly Deal, you'll kind of like dread going back to the actual Monopoly game. It's
It's
just you'll
so
have
fast.
so much less enthusiasm to play the normal Monopoly. If someone asks you, you'll be like, "How about Monopoly Deal?" It's such a better
Yeah,
kind of alternative.
for sure.
But it's got the cool like nostalgia of having the Monopoly game in the card game, and you can get it for like $7 at Walmart. So it's easy game to pick up and play with anyone, and just get a copy of it at any time. So uh, Monopoly Deal, you want to collect property sets just like normal Monopoly, but then there's like other factors, kind of like cosmic encounters where you can like use your little steel powers and stop the steel. So it's just got some dynamics like that causes some cool twists and turns when you play.
hmm You still get a lot of the fulfillment of Monopoly, the properties, collecting rent, gouging other players for lots of
Yeah, getting
money.
money from them.
You still get that same fulfillment and satisfaction. It's just,
Yeah, and you'll have to give up properties as money. So
yeah,
it's got some
mortgaging
cool
them.
elements like that, some decisions you'll have to make.
So I think,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna go on to the other game I had at number 4
Oh, yeah,
real
skip.
quick. But
Yep.
did you have something to say else about Monopoly Deal?
No, I was just trying to think. I know that there's a couple different versions of it, and I think like I have Monopoly Deal Millionaire,
Ooh,
which isn't as good. Ooh, which isn't as good as
never
which isn't as
mind.
good as Monopoly Deal the card game. And I remember playing Monopoly Deal the card game, wanting it, and then not being able to find it, getting the Millionaire version, not being as happy with it. But I think eventually I got the real copy of it. Oh yeah, here it is here, Monopoly Deal, the card game. 2012 is when that one
Oh
came
wow.
out, and then Monopoly Deal came out in 2008. Okay, so it was originally 2008, and then Monopoly Deal Millionaire 2012, and then it looks like they reprinted it later on. But yeah, so Monopoly Deal, the card game original, is what I would recommend, and I think that's what you're
Yeah,
saying. Stay away from
yeah.
Millionaire.
Monopoly Deal is just the one to go,
The one to
and
go.
it's available everywhere. Not to promote going to Walmart, but you can get it there.
Mm,
Just go to the small game aisle that they might have, and it's usually there with the other
yeah,
card games. So
for sure.
yeah, and also at my number 4 was none other than Jungle Speed.
Oh, Jungle
I have it
Speed.
right here. You have a deck of cards, and you deal them all out to everyone playing. You can have like almost unlimited number of players. Just like it could be big group or small group of 3 or 4 players. But each card has like a pattern and a color with that shape and pattern to it. And whenever a card you flip away from you, and if the other players around the table, you leave your card flipped. If their flipped card is the same shape, you grab the totem, the non-card element that's in the middle of the table,
Yeah.
and you want to grab it to get rid of your cards. So if the other card that match or the other player who had matched with you doesn't grab it first, they get the cards, and their deck keeps growing, and yours hopefully shrinks as the game goes on. And if you're the first one out, you win. So yeah, it's a fun game, and it can be violent or peacefully played. I doubt it.
Peacefully isn't it fun? Now I have broken my kitchen table over this game, uh, diving for the piece. So it is violent, and it's essential that you play violently. And it's great to try and you see the patterns and it's wrong or it's not quite the same because there's like the squigglies. and you mess it
Yeah.
up, and it's a fun game. Yeah.
Exactly. It kind of reminds me of like that old high school game called Spoons or Camp Game.
Yeah, I forgot about
You're
that.
kind of just like grabbing and fighting neck and nail for it.
Neck and
But
foot.
I was like, no, you're just yeah, you're just. It's kind of like the One Ring. It's my precious.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to grab it and get a hold of it. And uh, yeah, I had to pair that with Monopoly Deal because they're kind of smaller games. You can play anywhere with anyone. And yeah, in case my number 3 doesn't work out, those were the 2 that made my top 5, but not my top 3.
Okay, so you'll interchange those in case you.
In case you disapprove of my number 3. So, Mark, what do you have at your number 4?
Number 4 is. Let me just make sure I'm on the right 4. 3, 2, 1. Is that the right one? Okay, yeah. So let's cut over. Let me just make sure I have this in the right order.
Good to verify. Take a little peek and check.
Yep. No, that wasn't right. Okay, here we go. I wanted to just make sure. I just a little tweak, just a little scoosh, a little skosh.
All good, all good.
Okay, coming in at number 4 is Lost Cities.
Ooh! Ding, 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 ding.
Which was your honorable mention for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason that this is in my top 5 is because, well, it's an excellent game. Obviously, it wouldn't be in the list, but I have probably played this game more than any other game. Like in terms of like play count. Like if you look at our scorebooks, like this is the one that's written down the most because we would just sit down at lunch and play it. We'd sit down at supper and play it. We'd sit down and just play it 2, 3, 4, 5 times back to back because it's quick and it's engaging and it's thinky, but not too difficult and it's not mathy and it's hard. So I have to keep this in my top because simply of how much I've played it and just how much I love the concept of starting the not voyage, but starting the
Expeditions.
expedition, and then needing to get at least 20 points to then anything above that 20 counts as your score, and then you can multiply that if you have agreements or handshakes to go into the expeditions, and then
Handshakes.
handshakes expedition, like you can multiply them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a little picture of a handshake. Here's the interesting thing. I was watching this video the other day for some reason, a rules video, and I've been playing this game for years, and it turns out that there's a rule that we didn't know about and we missed, and that is if you play a total of 8 cards in an expedition, including handshakes, you get an additional 20 points.
You didn't know
Now,
that?
I didn't know that.
That's what it
Obviously, you
tells me
did.
on Board Game Arena, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's a cool.
I don't know why I didn't know that. Now, it's not overly common that you might get 8 cards in an expedition. That's a lot.
It's so hard.
It's 3 hands and it's 3 agreements and 6 cards, or 2 hands and 7 cards. No, 2 hands and 6 cards. That's a lot of cards to get in an expedition. But if you can do it, it's 20 points. So just the more of it unfolds, how great is that? It's a game that keeps on giving. So that's my number 4. Lost Cities, the card game.
Oh, the card game.
Right, the card game, because there's other games.
Yeah, they have a board game, and
there's another.
I'm not sure.
There's another card game called Lost Cities Rivals, which you can play with more than just 2 people. And there's some bidding and some auctioning and stuff in that. It's fine. It's just is nothing will replace the simplicity and complexity.
Have you played all 3?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, nice.
We have all 3. Yeah, it's great.
We'll have to do a Lost Cities exclusive
extravaganza.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's do it.
Okay, so there you have it. Your
So
number 4, Lost Cities.
That's our number 4. So we're on to number 3.
We are headed into the top 3, folks. Great games, great games. So
Your top
coming in
three.
for my top three, my number three, it involves some nature elements. It's lots of cards involved.
Let me see if I can
This
guess.
There's some elements that may not be cards involved, but you are you are spreading your wings if you want to play this game. It's
Okay,
Wingspan. This is
Wingspan.
Wingspan number three. So yes, there's lots of hundreds of bird cards.
The game
Each
is,
one's unique.
yeah, absolutely.
One of the main elements is playing those bird cards in different your forest, your wetlands, your grass. So, but the other non-card elements are your food
Yeah.
and what else was the eggs? Yeah, so those two elements, those aren't card elements. So I was very hesitant, but I was just like, but it has lots of cards, and I was just like, maybe I'll just throw it in there and see what happens. But I've been hooked on it ever since I've played it recently with you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had to be my top three.
I mean, it's a card drafting game, and it's all about the cards. And the other pieces are just kind of like ways to like track points and stuff on the cards. There's just like a visual
Yeah,
representation of
like
the points and whatnot.
the resources, like the food you're using to pay for cards. Same with the eggs, but then the eggs score victory points. But yeah, the why I like the game so much is the activations that you can get and the scoring of your cards are so cool. And then there's like nest symbols that can play a factor and round scoring. And there's so much. And even the location of where you play your cards can be a factor as well. So it's got fun strategy and it's always different and the little eggs are fun. I just want to eat them. No, I'm
So do
joking.
I.
But basically, as the rounds keep going, you're getting a bit less turns. So your decision on your turns start to play a huge factor, and then you get activations from your cards you have from that continue throughout the game. So the last few rounds are so much fun as well that you just want to play the game as soon as you finish.
Yeah, your turns get restricted and constricted down, and you got to make the most out of those last few things to squeeze all the little points out of them. And then, of course, the cards are beautiful. The birds, it's a
You learn
learning
a lot
experience.
about birds.
You got to love birds.
Oh yeah, gotta love birds.
So that's number three, Wingspan. My number
Mm-hmm.
three was, I feel so like not slighted, but I'm kind of intimidated because mine were a couple honorable mentions.
Oh,
So that's San Juan. Uh,
oh yeah, that's the one.
so for me, San Juan is what I alluded to earlier with the board game adaptation into a card game, because this is the card game adaptation of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is definitely on my top list of games. I had that game on my shelf for maybe a year or two before I ever got to play, because you need at least three people, and it's one of those games that it doesn't just recommend three, you need three. And so we didn't get a chance to play it for a long time. Once I did, fell in love with it, and it became a staple for a while. Just played. But it's old, not old, but it's there's a lot of little pieces and a lot of little circles and a lot of little cardboard things. This game gives you the same experience of Puerto Rico, just in a card game version. And I love how streamlined it is. I love how quick it is. I love that you just grab the piece. I love that you're always playing on everyone else's turn, because someone grabs the governor and you get to do something. Someone grabs the trade action and you get to do something. I love when a game lets you do stuff all the time. Instead of you're just sitting there just waiting for Buddy to finish his turn, and then
Yeah, you're like, whose turn is it?
yeah, whose
But
turn is it? Did you go? Did you go? It's just you pick something. I get to do it too. It's just because you picked it, there's a little bit more of a bonus or benefit for
yeah,
you, the picker, but I still get to do something, and so it's always advancing and always going. And that this game to me does that mechanism really, really well in terms of You go, I get to go, and it streamlines Puerto Rico, and that mechanism, which I love, makes this game a top 5 for sure. So that's San Juan, the card game version adaptation of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, like that is a really good game, and I really want to play it more. So even I was gonna say, if you didn't accept my wingspan, I was gonna be like, throw in either Lost Cities or the San Juan Puerto Rico card game,
Right.
because those ones would take that spot any day. But it's just making my top 10 was just so hard. There's so many great games out there with card-based mechanisms and card-based overall. So
And the other thing too
I'm
is
excited.
we didn't make it too easy on ourselves. Like most games are card-driven games, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of a loose caveat, but it's like the best of the card games, right? So, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
that was number 3. So on to number dos,
Ooh.
2. Lay it on me. I'm ready to type it in and bring it up here.
Okay. This one, I promise, is strictly cards. Basically, this is how I'll describe the game. I don't know if you'll get it, but maybe you will. Every player has a deck of their own cards, and you want to get rid of your deck of cards by creating deck of cards in the middle of the game board. Let me give it to you. This
Give it to
is
me.
Dutch Blitz. Dutch Blitz, folks.
You know what?
It is.
I was looking down at the game shelf and I didn't put it on there because that's tucked away in a little box. But
Oh,
like, slow clap on this one.
thank you. I almost had this at number 1. I
Sure.
almost should,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
this was a narrow finish, and this just made it at silver, folks. Dutch Blitz. Everyone that's playing, it's a fast playing game. You want to get rid of your cards, and you have to start with 1. Once you get a 1 in your hand, you're getting rid of cards in your hand, and you have a deck in front of you. It's a little confusing explaining it this way, but you have a deck of cards you can use in your hand to get rid of, as well as the permanent one that's not revealed. Just the top of that deck is revealed with 3 laying beside that. And you want to get rid of that main deck, but you use the rest of your deck to help get rid of that deck, if that makes sense. And every other player is doing the same thing, and you kind of have to wait for cards to be played to get rid of the main important cards in front of you.
Yeah.
And once you get rid of your cards, you call Dutch Blitz. It's a great one, and it's a race. It's a race to the finish. You don't want to get points. You have to double the amount of cards you have in your main deck, and just subtract that from your score. So you want to get a lot of cards out there and be the first one out. So
Yeah.
I love it.
I was doing my board game throwback podcast, and I was looking at an old game from 1988 called Ligretto, and I was reading the
Ooh.
rules, going, man, this game is literally verbatim Dutch Blitz, and I went, how old is Dutch Blitz? How old do you think Dutch? So I looked it up. How old do you think Dutch Blitz is?
1965. I don't know.
1960.
Whoa!
I was surprised at how old Dutch Blitz was. I knew it wasn't. Obviously, I knew it wasn't a recent game, but I thought it was like the 90s, like
Yeah.
Lost Cities and Bonanza and stuff. But this was 1960, and it's a fast-paced game. It holds up today. It's great, and you get cuts and bruises, and you can get slapped, and there's some yelling and rules of like one hand and you
Oh
use
yeah.
2 hands. You get yelled at, and I get yelled at a lot. But no, this is great. And then there's the expansion, which gives you
Oh yeah. You can play with more
more
players. It's
people because
pretty
it's
much the
basically
same deck.
just different colors but the same shape, so it allows you
Yeah.
to play with more people. This was a great pick.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah. Like
job.
it's an expansion, but it doesn't expand on the game dynamics. It just allows more players to be in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything,
Just
just
to clarify. But yeah.
more carnage.
It's I've seen that, and yeah, just that would be absolute carnage having 8 people around the table playing.
You would need like a pool table to play that at. Like, you just need
Yeah, and you're reaching across to get your like 3 out. That would just be chaos. But I'm all for it.
So that was number 2. Dutch
Yeah, that was
Blitz.
my number 2. Like,
Great
I
pick.
almost had it at number 1. So, how about you?
Okay, so my number
What?
2 is what they call a micro game or a wallet game,
Ah.
and it's by Button Shy Games. And this had quickly. No, this was a game that we played, and I was like, garbage, throw it out. And because we didn't play it right, and I had some bit of different expectations when I went into it. But that game is Stew, which I don't think
Stew.
we've played.
I've never played this. I'm
We
so
did.
intrigued now.
Stew is a 16 card game, okay, where there is so much strategy involved that if you don't realize that, you will think it's a stupid, easy little card game. But for 16 cards, this has so much strategy packed into it that this became my number 2 because when me and my wife and my brother figured out how to play this game, we went, oh, like it was like a light bulb where we just played
Wow.
over and over and over again. So essentially, what you're doing is it's a bit of a bluffing game where you pick up one card and you play it somewhere. Either you put it in the pot of stew and you're making a stew, so there's things like chicken and vegetables and parsnips and that, or you have to feed it to one of these critters. So uh, you have to determine you're going to put it in. There's like a stone, and all these things are worth points. And then the stone, if you put that in the stew, is worth like -3 points. So essentially,
And these are all cards, right?
these are all just little cards, just
Yeah.
16 of these cards. So what you do is, as you're going on the table one by one, picking up a card, going, either putting it in the stew or kind of discarding it by getting rid of these vermins. At some point, if you believe that there are 12 points in the deck minimum, you yell stew. And then you have to turn the deck over and resolve it. So you resolve it by saying, if any of the critters that you didn't feed are unfed and their vegetable is in the stew, like the raccoon eats the potato, for example. So if there's potatoes in the stew, you got to give it to the raccoon. So those points you think are in there might get lost. So you got to figure out,
Yeah.
are the cards that I want in the stew to get 12 points in there? And are the critters fed to not eat the points so that I can play it? And then you just have this unquenchable desire to yell stew and to see if you got 12 points. And sometimes you're like, I'm convinced. I swear there's 12 points, and I'm going to call
So it
stew.
has to be exactly 12 points in that.
It's got to be minimum 12.
Oh, minimum.
It can
Okay,
be over.
cool.
But you
Wow.
go, you know what? There's 12 points in that deck. I swear there's like 18 points in that deck. And you call stew, and you flip it over, and you mess something up, and then not the right animals are fed, and you end up with like 1 point in the deck. And you're like, I swear there was 12. And so then what happens is everyone else at the table gets a point instead of you. So it's like the game just punishes you and rewards you so much. And it's 16 cards.
Oh.
And you can buy it from the publisher, or you can go on their website, buy it for like $2 and print it off yourself and play it. And it's
Sweet.
yeah. So that's number 2, Stew. It's up on the screen there. If you haven't
Stu,
played
I
it,
see it.
you gotta play. You gotta play.
I haven't played it. I haven't played it. Let's play.
Let's play. So I think, Petey, we are at number 1. We made it.
Number 1.
We made it to number
We
1.
are here, folks. This is the Fellowship of the Cards tonight, and I'm gonna my number 1 might it's kind of anticlimactic. That's why I kind of turned over the turn order here, because you've already mentioned my number 1.
Okay.
It is. It's got lots of. I figured with the theme of Lord of the Decks, it's got so many decks, so many kinds of cards. It's all card base. You're getting cards. You're buying cards with your cards. You're doing everything with your cards.
Let me see if I put it on the screen before you say it.
This is coming in, folks, at number 1. The one card game to rule them all. For me, it was hard to choose, but it is Dominion.
Dominion. That is a valiant choice. There is nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. We've gone over it, so
what more is
yeah, that would be my number 1. Let me rave a little bit more. It got the award 2009 It is legit, folks.
SPJ.
Yeah, I got the SPJ 2009, and it's come out with so many great expansions, and the themes are fun with the expansions. So go out and try them. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is one I have to recommend. It's a great one, and I want to play it more.
Yeah, it holds
So
true. It holds true today, 10, 15, 20, 15 years later. It's still a wonderful deck builder and a great experience. It deserves to be
yeah,
number one.
it's got that Settlers of Catan nostalgia of
Right.
getting you into more board games and wanting to play these cool, modern, fun board games. So
Yeah,
there you have it.
there we
My
have it.
top 10, and at number one, Dominion.
Dominion. All right, I will release my number one now. So let me give you a bit of
Ooh.
a context before I move forward. So I just revealed Stew, which is a micro game or a wallet game. It comes in at 16 cards and it packs a heavy punch. This next game is the grandfather of micro games. It is none other than the one that started the micro game wallet game craze. It might be, if you
Is it?
asked me on any
Does
given
it have a
day,
heart?
it has so many hearts. This might be my favorite game of all time, with some caveats, right? But I have played Love Letter
I knew it.
for so many years. Okay, I said earlier that I played Lost Cities the most. I have played this game more than any other game. It is 16 cards again, and it blows Stu out of the water in terms of how much strategy there is. It's this kind of social deduction game, and you have a card, you pick a card, you decide which one you want to play, and there is so much fun, so much strategy, so much things, and I have had countless, endless fun memories of playing this game with, I don't know, every person ever. Like, we played this game with. It's a deduction game. It's a good party game. Uh, it does everything that you want in a game, and it's freaking 16 cards.
It's
It's
so
mind-boggling.
simple, but so great to play. You might not look like much, right? Because it's such a like micro wallet kind of game, you
Yeah.
like you said. But yeah, it's got the layers of a great game packed into something so small, but yet so playable. Like
And
that's a great number one to have.
and that's what had blown my mind about it years ago, and I still I have to keep it up ranked pretty high because for a for a for a game that is just cards and nothing else, this has to take the
Yeah.
cake because for the amount of stuff that it can do, the amount of fun it can create, for 16 cards is primo.
Yes, yes, yes. I should have thought of those micro games more, but I haven't. Yeah, I don't have them, but I love playing them when I'm over at your place.
Yeah.
I love Letter.
We should do like a little next time we can be together. We'll do like a top 10 card game kind of
Yeah, play
play,
them
like
through.
anything I didn't play, you play. We'll do a little follow up. But that's it. That's our top 10 Lord of the Decks, one card to rule them
Lord of the
all.
Decks.
These were games that are just cards, quote, air quotes, just cards that we feel are
Yes.
the best. Play them if you haven't. Look into them. And none of these are very complicated or intense or intimidating. If you don't play games, you can play these, and I guarantee you they might be a good gateway to get you into the hobby. And even if they don't get you into the hobby, get you into these games because they're amazing. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming by. This has been
Yeah.
a blast. I think we did good. I think the stream's still going. I
Yeah,
think.
like we got one message from one viewer, and
Did we get a
they
message?
were. Let me just see what it said. It said, "Oh no, you didn't. Seven's revealed as game number seven." So that's a fun moment for
Oh,
sure.
snap.
And I know we have some viewers out there, and thanks for tuning in. Like these are 10 games you definitely have to check out, whether you're a gamer or non-gamer, whether you're with people that don't like the game or do like the game. They are for everyone, and yeah, I had a good time.
This was fun, and this is a great thing to do, even to put it up online, but just for me and you to chat and do something, man, just to get something, to have some fun in
Yeah,
this time, to just see each other this way and talk, and because you and I both love board games, and there's very few people that I can just gush and wax poetic about games and have someone listen to me. So the fact that I can put it online and have you listen, you're in trouble because we're gonna just do this nonstop.
Oh, like this was like we just did this last minute last night. We're like, let's do this tomorrow. What's the topic? We're like, top 10 card based games. So I was like, I wrote them out last night. Today I was like, I did my ranking this morning. I was like, I'm ready to go. So there you have it, folks. We hope you can join us again soon. Let's do this again.
All right, that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Tune in next time where we discuss who knows, but you'll be in for some fun and some treats.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm Mark.
This is Peter.
Signing out. Have a good one.
This is a game to remember.
Game to remember. Bye.
Bye.